Well, I think that the first observation is that there is a difference between inflation in the US and inflation in the euro area. In the US, there is no doubt that inflation is demand-driven, not only because monetary policy has been very, very easy, but also because we've had a much bigger fiscal expansion in the US than in the euro area, so big stimulus in the last couple of years. And in fact, even before the war, you could have seen from the long-term expectation of US inflation that it was way above the target. This was not the case in the euro area before the war, although, of course, there were supply-side factors due to supply chain disruptions, and, of course, energy had started to pick up before the war. Now, with the war, of course, the numbers are quite worrisome. So we have just seen the number in March, which, you know, it's a new record for the euro area. But still, if I look at core inflation, so inflation without the energy, food and tobacco prices, this is relatively stable. We are still at 3%. Considering that we have been undershooting for a long time, I think that we should be really, really careful and avoid the mistakes that were done in the past. For example, 2011, when interest rates were raised in the middle of the debt crisis because energy prices were picking up.
So, Monsieur Trichet's mistakes can't be made again. Do you believe that the ECB is on the cusp of raising rates?
I don't think so, because actually there is a sequence problem, as the ECB has been announced. So they are discontinuing the asset purchase programs and the PEP, and then gradually the APP program. And only in a second phase they will consider raising rates. Now the market anticipates that the increasing rates will start already in June, maybe. I mean, these are some of the expectations around there. But I'm actually quite concerned about this sequence story, because I don't think that in these current circumstances there is much motivation for having negative deposit rates. I think they should consider to go fast on rates, while I would be much more cautious on asset purchases, especially because there will be pressure, and there is pressure on spreads, and we have to be very careful about financial market segmentation.
Let's go straight to that then. The Italian borrowing cost for 10-year paper has gone up from somewhere in the region of 0.5% to around about 2.1% last time I looked as well. How worrisome is that for a country that has 150% debt to GDP?
Very, very worrisome. I think that this is partly, as you said, because Italy is the, after Greece, is the most indebted countries in the euro area, but also because of a feature of the eurozone economy, that whenever stuff happens, bad shocks, then there is a flight to safety, and the first to be penalized are the countries which have higher debt, especially Italy. So we have seen that in the previous crisis. This is something that the ECB has to correct, because this has to be is related to the transmission of monetary policy. So we do not want to have excessive differential rates in the eurozone. And therefore, it should be considered to have asset purchases which are in proportion, which are different from the capital keys, but more, kind of aiming at the local spreads.